Have you ever been forgiven for something that you still feel terrible about? Well, if so, you've missed one of the main points of forgiveness. When I was very young, I remember kicking a football through the window of my granddad's kitchen, smashing it to pieces. Now, even worse, Grandad had told me earlier not to kick a ball against that wall, and even worse again, he was a lovely, gentle man whom you just didn't want to disappoint. Well, with the glass still needing swept up, he did something that means I now look back on this incident, and rather than feeling terrible, I still feel amazed. See, as I cried, probably from a fear of punishment, as well as from that terrible taste of guilt, well, Grandad sat me down and he gave me a bowl of ice cream to eat. Now, I deserved punishment, and yet he forgave me, and he proved it by being so very kind to me. I guess forgiveness tastes a bit like vanilla ice cream to me ever since. Forgiveness is an amazing thing, but it is a thing that's very hard to receive and even harder to give to someone else. Without it, though, no relationships can continue. You see, it is a lack of forgiveness that sours a friendship forever. It is a lack of forgiveness that rips families apart and ensures that they keep their distance from one another from now on. It is a lack of forgiveness that fuels wars and conflicts right across this world. Forgiveness and unforgiveness are both extremely powerful actions, and their impact is felt deeply. Now, the reason it is so difficult to forgive is because there is always a cost to be paid. You see, a wrong that has been committed against a person doesn't just disappear into thin air. The person who has been wronged either has to decide to accept the pain themselves, deal with the cost of it by accepting it and living with it themselves, or they can choose to seek revenge on the wrongdoer and try to push the cost back to them. Real forgiveness is always very costly. Well, in the familiar song that we're going to listen to soon, we hear about a green hill far away where Jesus died that we might be forgiven. The cross of Jesus Christ is at the very centre of genuine Christianity, because in the Bible, God tells us that all of the wrongs that people have ever committed against one another in this world, all of the sin around us that causes us so much pain, all of the sin within us that causes others so much pain, all of that is really directed at the God who made us and who told us to live in his way rather than our own. And we haven't. There's not a day goes by where you or I or anyone else lives the way the one who made us commanded us to live. And what we deserve as a result of living this way is for God to push the cost to us. We broke the world. We continue to break one another. We constantly break God's commands. We deserve to pay for all of this. And the payment would be a terrible one, a separation from the infinite God's goodness for an infinite amount of time. But God has made a way for him to bear the cost of our sin rather than us. He has made a way for us to be treated kindly and gently instead of being punished. It's ice cream instead of punishment, but 1,000,000,000 times bigger. See, Christians sing fondly about that green hill far away, that green hill of Calvary, because that place of torture and execution is also the place of complete and total forgiveness. See, the events of Easter, which should leave such a terrible flavour in our mouths, instead they bring Christians the taste of joy and freedom, the taste of full forgiveness. See, Jesus was good enough to pay the price of sin. Jesus died that we might be forgiven. If you're a Christian, be full of joy. But if you're not a Christian yet, Jesus offers you a way to deal with your guilt and sin. A way that means that you, along with us as Christians, we can all look back, and instead of feeling terrible about our sin now, we can be filled with love for Him instead. And then we can look forward together to an eternity of love with God and with His people.